Hello. Hi guys. Not really sure who all's in here, but I was going to do beach theme, but I literally just walked in the door, ran in here and got this set up so I could go live right at 1. I broadcasted at Miss Rogi's house today for my GeoID, so a little behind, but wanted to be on here for you guys. So who's here? Who's in the chat or who's in the live with us? I know there's someone in there. Ryan's in here. Hi, Ryan. I know there's a few other people. Eli. Hi, Eli. Basically, today's session is just, I'm going to do some examples, and I'm going to actually pull it from the IXL site and just do some examples with you. So those are the things that you were supposed to do as like homework yesterday. Watch the video and then try some of the IXL practice. So anyways, that's what I'm doing today. And then I'll take questions and answers actually while I'm going through it. If you have questions, stop me. And then just reiterating that the exit slip for that is that video. You've got to do a video of you solving the 2 problems that are within that assignment. The video has to be, it has to be facing you while you're working on it. Like I need to be able to see the work that you're doing, and I need to be able to see like you in the video. So however you need to set that up. It cannot be a screen recording because that just shows me what your screen looks like. It needs to be of you working on it. So if you have 2 devices and you could record from like your phone and then work it out on your Notability, or if you don't have 2 devices, then you can just write the problems down on paper, work them out on paper, and just record with your iPad of you working them out. There's 2 reasons for that. I want to be able to see you, that you're actually doing it, and I also want to be able to see what work you're doing, because if you're ending up with the wrong answer, I want to see where you made your misstep. So, and that's kind of a trial run for how we're going to do our test over this section. And that test is going to happen when we come back. The assessments are still just that IXL and then the video proof of the exit and homework, everything. It's all at home, right? We're at home right now. The news alert says there was no new assignments today. So no new assignments today. Yay! But you just need to get caught up. So if you are missing any assignments, you need to do them. If you didn't take the notes, if you didn't follow along with the videos, you need to do that. It's really important that you do that. And then do the practice problems. So get all caught up, and then just be aware that we will be doing a test when we come back. We'll do a review the Monday that we come back from break, and then after that, we'll do the tests. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and click on the IXL so I can do some practice problems for you. Okay, so first of all, it says solve using the quadratic formula. And then it says write your answers as integers, proper or improper fractions in simplest form, or decimals rounded to the nearest hundredth. So it will take any of those formats. I'll actually show you how to do leaving it as a radical, like with the radical, but then I'm going to change it to decimal to put it in there because that's what they want. So I'll show you those things. Okay. Are there questions on what I'm doing during this video? And I'm going to close this just so it's a little darker in here so you can see maybe a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start working this out. First of all, I need to write down the formula because I need that as a reference. So I'm going to write that down. So it's, and I'm going to sing the little tune because that's how I remember it. So x is equal to plus or minus jk. Let me start over. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's to the Pop Goes the Weasel tune. But that's how I remember the formula. You do need to have this formula down somewhere so that you have that as a reference. Remembering that this plus and minus, that just means that you're going to end up with two answers if you have something that comes out of here that's two different answers. And I'll kind of talk about what could not be two different answers. All right, so first thing I need to do then is I need to identify my A, my B, and my C because I'm going to have to plug those into this equation. So I go to my problem, and I'm not sure if you can see it very well in this video, but the problem is 6g squared minus 6g minus 9 equals 0. So make sure that it has equals 0. We do have to have it equal to 0 first. And then you would identify, so the 6 that's out in front as your A, I've got a negative 6 as my B, and then negative 9 as my C. Remembering that the sign that's in front of them go with them. Now I'm going to then plug in the appropriate numbers for the variables. So I've got x equals negative b. Well, b is negative 6. So if my b is negative already, it makes it a positive. So negative 6 would be a positive 6. Plus or minus the square root, b squared, so b was negative 6, minus 4 times your A and your C. They're all being multiplied together, all those things. So my A was 6 and my C was negative 9. All over 2 times my A, and my A is 6. So I have this set up. Now what I have to do is I have to solve it. This is where it actually starts getting difficult. I have to simplify this down. I always start in the radical. And when you're in the radical, if you end up getting a negative number, then you have no real solutions and you're done. Like you would just know right then. There's no real solutions because you can't take the square root of a negative number. So I'd be done. If I end up getting the number 1, what's the square root of 1? 1. So don't let that throw you. It would be a positive and a negative 1. So that ends up throwing a lot of people. And then also the square root of 0. So if this ended up being 0, the square root of 0 is just 0. There is no positive and negative 0. It's just 0. So there would just be one answer for that one. So if you ever end up with 0 here, you just have one answer. If you end up with a negative number in here, you have no real solutions. And any other number, you're going to have 2 different solutions. So let's simplify this down. Starting in here, inside this, I use the order of operations. So I'm going to do my exponent first here. So negative 6 squared is 36. And then I've got this multiplication happening over here. So I've got a negative 4 times a positive 6. So that's going to be a negative 24. And then a negative 24 times a negative 9. First of all, it's going to end up being positive because a negative times a negative is positive. And then times 9 is going to be 216. So this inside here, I'm going to rewrite. X is equal to, so I've got 36 plus 216 all over, and then 2 times 6 is 12. I need to add this together inside here. So 216 plus 36 is 252. So that means that I'm going to have two different answers because I ended up with a number. It is positive, and it's not 0. So I'm going to end up with two different solutions. So I'm going to write this down. I've got x is equal to 6 plus and minus the square root of 252 divided by 12. That just means that you've got 6 plus the square root of 252 divided by 12 and 6 minus the square root of 252 divided by 12. Now, if we had to put this in exact form, the IXL is not asking for it, but if we had to put this in exact form, we would have to simplify down the square root of 252. Simplifying down is where we did that factor tree. And so that's where you would do, it's even, so it'd be 2 and then 126. Yep. And then 126 would be 2 and 63. And 63 is, we could do 3. 3 and 21. And 21 is 3 and 7. So simplifying this down, you would pull out a pair of 2s. You would also pull out a pair of 3s. And you would be left with a 7 inside. So that'd be 6 square root of 7. Now again, this is if I was told that I needed to write this in exact form. I would do x is equal to 6 plus, and then instead of square root of 252, I would write 6 square root of 7, and then over 12. And then 6 minus 6 square root of 7 over 12. And you can actually even simplify this even more. And the way you would do that is you would split this division up. Since the 6 and 12, they all have a 6 in common, you could divide them all by 6. And then the same thing on this side. So that means my final exact answer would be x is equal to 1 plus 1 square root of 7, or just square root of 7, over 2, and then 1 minus square root of 7 over 2. Again, that's exact form. So on this IXL assignment, they're just asking you to round to the nearest hundredth. So really, I showed you a lot of stuff that I didn't really need to show you, but I did that in case, or for when we get to the point where we're just simplifying. So you know how to do that. But I could have, from this point right here, the 6 plus square root of 252, plug that into my calculator and gotten my decimal answer. So that's what I'm going to do really quick. I'm going to try to show it to you. Let's use this one. See if my Mac camera will pick it up. Can you see my screen on my calculator? I'm going to assume yes, no one's shouting out no. So I'm going to type in, I'm going to do the square root of 252 first. And the reason I'm showing you on this one is because it's going to end up in the exact form. Remember how I told you this one actually simplifies it down for you? So it gave me the 6 square root of 7. I'm going to take that and I'm going to then, since it's 252 and then that's a positive 6, I'm going to add 6 and then divide by 12. So I've got this in here, and let's see, can you see it? I think you can see that. I'm going to add 6 to it. And it gives you this really weird, funny looking thing that is the exact form. That's okay. I'm going to divide by 12. Again, it gives me this weird, funny looking thing, which is really amazing. That is like exactly what we had when we simplified it down. So remember how I told you, like, this is the calculator like you're going to want, because this one will actually simplify it down for you and leave it in exact form. But now you're thinking, well, that's a problem because I need a decimal number. Well, there's this button that's the S to D button. So let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Right here, this button, it has S and then arrow D. If you hit that button, it's going to change what you've got to decimal. There you go. And if you hit it again, it changes it back. But we want the decimal in order to type that into IXL. So then this answer for the first one is going to be 1.822875, blah, 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 blah. It says to round to the nearest hundredth. Your first decimal place is your tenths. Your second one is your hundredths. So that means that I'm going to have 2 decimal places, but you do need to look at the third in order to see how you round. So your third number, if it's less than 5, then you just drop off your numbers. But if it's 5 or greater, then you're going to round this 2 up to 3 and then drop the numbers. So it's just going to be 1.82. Now we've got to do the work for this other one. Now this one, you can do 1 minus the square root of 7, or up here you can do 6 minus the square root of 252. So I'm going to do that. 6 minus square root of 252. So you put it in your calculator, and then you hit enter. And then you divide by 12, hit enter or equal. And again, on this one, it's going to give me the simplified version, but IXL wants a decimal, so you're going to hit the S arrow D button right there. So I'm going to hit that. And that gives me a negative. So x equals negative 0.822875, blah, blah, blah. We want just the 2 decimal places for the hundredths, and you look to the right, and to the right is a 2, so it's less than 5. So we're just going to drop the numbers, and it does not go up. So it's just 0.82. So a negative 0.82. Those are our 2 answers. And I said x, but it really is g. Like, that's the variable that we use. The variable x is really just your variable, whatever your variable is. So it would be g equals. So let's see if we got these right. Pressure's on. This is a negative. I don't know if they want you to put a 0 in front or what, but let's try it. Yay, got it right. All right. I'm going to do another one. This time I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Leave my formula up there because I'm going to need it. I feel like I need to zoom in a little here. There we go. All right, so the problem, it says the same thing. It does tell me to still round to nearest hundredth. And so first thing I'm going to do is identify my A, B, and C. So my A is 5. My b is 5, and it is a positive 5. And then my c is this negative 9. So I'm going to write x equals, I'm going to plug in the variable or the number into the variable spot that it matches. So a negative b, and b is 5, so negative 5 plus and minus the square root. B squared, so that's 5 squared, minus 4 times a times c. A is 5, and c is negative 9. All over, don't forget this bottom part, 2 times your a, which is 5. Are there any questions on how to set up this formula? Like if you're confused on how I'm doing that, then ask me right now. Ryan, I don't know right now. As of right now, the Monday after next, we go back e-learning for a week. So next week you're off. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow actually, is our spring break. So we start our spring break tomorrow and then through the next week. And then the week after that, we come back e-learning style again. And for a week. And that's all we know as of right now. We don't know about anything else. Are there any questions about how I set this up? Because I'm going to start simplifying it down at this point. No, May 1st isn't right. Not even close. April 30th, we come back for e-learning. So that's all we know right now. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to start simplifying. We've got right here, so I'm working inside the square root. So 5 squared is 25. And then I've got negative 4 times 5, which is going to be a negative 20. So negative 20. And then negative 20 times negative 9 is going to be a positive 180. So that's going to be a positive or plus 180. So I've got x equals negative 5 plus and minus the square root. 25 plus 180 is 205. All over 10. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and keep showing you how to simplify. So I'm going to simplify the square root of 205. I'm going to do that. Those of you that have that fancy calculator, that one will simplify it for you. So we've got, this is 5 times something, and I know that because it ends with 5, and that would be 41. Oh, that one doesn't simplify. 41 is a prime number. So that just stays the square root of 205. So we've got x is equal to negative 5 plus square root of 205 over 10, and negative 5 minus the square root of 205 over 10. And now I'm going to need to find the decimal number for this. So I'm going to take my calculator, and I'm going to do this. Let's do a negative 5 plus the square root of 205, and then divided by 10. Hit the S to D button for this one, and that gives me 0.93178, blah, 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 blah. We are rounding to the nearest hundredth again. So that means I need 2 decimal places. I look to the right, it's a 1. So the 3 stays a 3. So I have x is equal to 0.93. And then over here on this side, I've got -5 minus, this time, the square root of 205. And then I hit equal and then divide by 10. And then that equals a -1.9317, blah, 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 blah. Again, just two decimal places. Look to the right. It's less than 5, so the 3 stays at 3. So you've got a -1.93. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you start entering in the calculator, I really hope that you guys are trying this along with me, because sometimes you're going to hit things in wrong, like you're going to punch them in wrong, and you're going to get different answers. Like if you just did, like some people's calculator, well, actually, if you, after you do the top part, if you don't hit equals and you just do divided by, it's not going to, it's going to do that division before it does the addition. So you have to do the order of operations, and just if you're struggling with how you're punching it in your calculator, you need to ask. So hopefully you're trying, because every calculator is different. Every different brand is different is what I mean. So if you're struggling, you can always FaceTime me during my office hours, which will be as soon as this is over until 3. So you can FaceTime and I can walk you through it. All right. Should I do one more, or do you guys want to just hop off here and start working? And I have nothing. No one's telling me anything. Do I need to do one more? Or you guys think you got it and you can try it on your own? You want to start working. Okay. Question though. I just realized I don't know how I told you to write your answers. Let me go to the assignment. On the video, complete the 2 problems given below. I don't tell you how to write your answers. I'm going to fix that. I want your answers like you did for IXL. So I'll want them in decimal form. And I'll probably have you round to the nearest 100th. So the same. We'll just keep it consistent for now. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. It will be, oh my gosh, a week and a few days before you are going to see me again virtually. So I know you're going to miss me. You'll be okay. You can FaceTime me if you need help with anything. Next week during spring break, if you just send me a message and just ask, like, hey, can I FaceTime you? When can I FaceTime you? I'll let you know. I may be at the bug out. I may bug out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But just let me know. I'll be available to you. Just try to get everything completed and turned to end, because I am going to start grading those things when we come back from break. So, all right, good luck. Reach out if you need it.